So today's video is going to be all about vampires in Harry Potter. As surprising as it may seem, there's not too much focus on vampires in the Wizarding world, and they're not mentioned much by fans either. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Vampires in Harry Potter. They do exist, they are looked upon as magical beings, and I'm going to talk about them in as much detail as possible. I'm going to stick to how they're portrayed by the Wizarding World standards, as there are different rules in different vampire franchises. In addition to that, I'm going to reveal a character that JK Rowling developed for the books, but that she eventually cut out. So if you want to find out who that is, then keep watching. Welcome back guys. So vampires in Harry Potter, vampires in the Wizarding worlds to be more accurate. What is it all about? Well, let's start with something big, something quite surprising, and that's the fact they are not immortal. They have a lifespan and eventually die. Some of the oldest recorded living vampires in the Wizarding world have made it to over 200 years old. Now this is a massive deal in the vampire world, as being immortal is part of the vampire's curse, and what attracts wannabes in the first place: the chance to live forever. Now I've checked several different franchises and not one of them had immortality crossed off the list, so it's quite strange that JK Rowling would do that, but I guess it's her way of standing out from the others. Vampirism is also considered a parasitic plague, and the person's body does appear to die in order for the plague to take over, so it's not entirely clear if the killing curse would be in any way effective. Garlic is also quite potent to vampires and can keep them at bay when it's in close proximity, and although they do rely on blood as their primary food source, they can also eat regular food. As vampires are magical creatures, they therefore live in and are affiliated with the Wizarding world. There exists a society for the tolerance of vampires which, by its given name, must campaign for greater acceptance of vampires and their culture in the magical world, given their seemingly malignant reputation. The Wizarding world also sets guidelines to prevent exterminating vampires outright, although Rita Skeeter has always thought differently, as she would love to see them, and I quote, stamped out. Vampire nature is considered quite interesting and are studied in first, second and third year Defense Against the Dark Arts classes at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. This is because vampires, along with similar undead beings such as Inferi, are considered dark creatures due to their highly parasitic and dangerous natures. There aren't too many accounts of close associations with vampires throughout the Harry Potter books. Gilderoy Lockhart wrote a book entitled Voyages with Vampires, where he claimed to have been able to force vampires to eat nothing but lettuce, which would in fact end up killing them. Not that he'd care anyway, and the book was probably a huge lie. There were also vampire hunters in the Wizarding world. During the 1994 Quidditch World Cup, a wizard who was trying to impress some Vila claimed to be a vampire hunter and boasted about killing over 90 vampires. Nothing was said about him or the situation ever again. Eldred Warple, who was a writer and once tried to convince Harry Potter to write a biography, spent some time living with vampires in order to get a better understanding for them, and wrote a book entitled Blood Brothers: My Life Amongst the Vampires. The only reason I can imagine for him even being tolerated would be because the vampires wanted the public to see them in a different light. Warple actually befriended a vampire named Sanguini and brought him along to Slughorn's Christmas party. Sanguini was rather calm and seemed to have a level-headed attitude to everything. He grew bored rather easily and did have a fondness for attractive women. Whether that was to feast on them or just to enjoy their company was not entirely clear. JK Rowling has stated that she didn't include vampires more frequently in Harry Potter because she didn't want to touch the already perfected craft of their story. There was nothing she could add to, nor did she want to, especially as she drew inspiration from British folklore, while vampires were more Eastern European folklore. I've always had a massive interest in vampires and the many franchises that come along with them. So who's the mystery character? Well, JK had always planned to include a vampire in the books from the get-go. She's acknowledged their existence judging from Sanguini's appearance in The Half-Blood Prince, but a certain vampire who went by the name of Trokar was to appear as a teacher from the beginning of the story, right back to the Philosopher's Stone. Now, Trokar was actually created very early on, even before Severus Snape. He was a teacher in Hogwarts and supposed to have constant run-ins with Harry, not taking a liking to the boy who lived at all. He was even to become an adversary for Harry as time went on, which makes this character seem quite interesting. However, because vampire mythology was so well developed and open, there wasn't much JK felt she could add to the character that wouldn't contradict the vampire stereotype consistently represented in literature and film. She took the name Trokar from the medical instrument of the same name. In medicine, a trocar is a sharply pointed shaft inserted into the arteries or cavities to extract bodily fluids, so obviously with it functioning the same way as a vampire does when feeding, she felt it was quite a fitting name. The point of having a vampire as a teacher could have been most likely to see his struggles dealing with feeding, whether craving human blood was an issue being around so many students, and it would also be interesting to see the ministry's take on having what they believe to be a dangerous breed teach at the school. However, I don't think we lost out too much in that degree, as Remus Lupin does fill this void very effectively in terms of suffering prejudice for a condition he can't help. Anyway guys, that is my video on vampires in Harry Potter and the secret character Trokar. Let me know what you think of Trokar in the comment section below. Would you have liked to see Trokar actually be developed into a character? Let me know. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the very next video. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever, so please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do, it's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content, so if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.